Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me now. Life is not a game. This world will try to convince you otherwise. It will flash its lights. It will give you a scoreboard. It will tell you that if you make enough money, collect enough likes, win enough applause, you've made. But I'm here to tell you the truth. Life is not a game. It is sacred. It is serious. It is short. You don't get to hit restart. There is no extra life to life. You don't get a referee calling a timeout so you can fix what's broken. When you make choices in this life, they echo through it. Some of you are living like you've got forever, but friends, let me tell you, you don't. You are here for a moment, like a breath on a cold morning. You see it, then it's gone. And what you do with that moment matters. It matters to your soul. It matters to your family. And yes, it matters to God. It matters to God. This life calls for more than skill and luck. It calls for responsibility, not just to yourself, but to your neighbor, your community, and the one who gave you breath. You don't get to pass the controller to someone else. You don't get to press a pause on the consequences of your action. And yet, despite the weight of it all, I bring you hope, because the same God who created this life has not left you to figure it out alone. He calls you to live it with purpose. He calls you to walk in truth and love, in righteousness, and that's not to win the game, but to fulfill the calling. So today I ask you, are you playing around with your life, or are you living it on purpose? Are you chasing points that won't matter when you take your final breath? Or are you preparing for something greater? Don't be fooled. Don't be distracted. Don't waste what can never be repeated. Life is not a game. It is a gift, and you only get one. So live it with urgency, live it with meaning, and above all, live it with your eyes on eternity. Life is not a temporary game with a scoreboard that resets at the sound of a buzzer, not a passing moment to be wasted on shallow thrills and fleeting glories, but a sacred journey with a destination that stretches far beyond the grave, far beyond the shadows of this earth, far beyond the applause of men or the treasures that rust and rot. For every step you take and every word you speak and every choice you make echoes in eternity like a ripple that never fades, reaching into a realm that knows no end. You may laugh now. You may ignore the weight of what you carry. You may distract yourself with pleasure and noise and success and comfort. But the truth stands like a mountain unmoved by time or wind, that what you do in this life matters forever, that you are not just passing through for nothing, not just a body with breath and bills and burdens, but a soul with an eternal destiny, a spirit with divine origin, a heart that was made for more than dust and ash. The world will tell you to live for the now, to follow your truth, to seek what feels good, to collect moments instead of meaning. But I tell you, there is a road that looks wide and bright and smooth, and many walk it with confidence and pride, but its end is destruction, its light is illusion, and its joy is counterfeit, for it leads away from truth and away from purpose and away from the one who made you, who sees you, who knows you by name. You cannot treat life like a stage where you wear a mask and play a part and hope the audience claps, because when the curtain falls, and it will fall, the applause will fade, and only one voice will matter. The voice of the judge who weighs hearts and sees through masks and asks not what role you played, but who you truly were when no one was watching and no one was listening. But every thought you've ever had, every intention you ever hid, every action, whether done in secret or in public, whether whispered or shouted, whether proud or ashamed, will stand before the mirror of eternity, and that mirror will not lie. And there will be no edits, no excuses, no rewrite. Only the truth, unfiltered and holy, spoken by the only one whose opinion matters in the end. You were not made for a shallow life with shallow consequences. You were made in the image of the eternal, called by a voice that spoke galaxies into being. And what you do with your days, your influence, your words, your love, your faith, your time, it all becomes the raw material of your eternity. The building blocks of your forever, and what you sow here in this soil of time, you will reap there in the harvest of forever. There are no do-overs, no extra innings, no second rounds. Once your final breath is drawn, sleep, it does not sleep, it does not drift into nothing. It does not vanish into smoke, but stands awake and aware in the presence of the one who formed it, accountable and eternal and eternal. And the decisions made here will ring through the halls of heaven or the chambers of regret. Because this is not just about living well, it's about living right. So while the world spins and the clock ticks and your heart keeps beating, let this truth awaken you, that life is not a game, time is not a toy, eternity is not a myth, and your soul, yes, your soul is not just passing through like wind through trees, but is headed toward a moment where all things will be revealed, all masks removed, all truth laid bare, and only one question will remain. What did you do with the life you were? Life is not a playground for selfish desires or a stage for reckless ambition, not a sandbox where we build and destroy as we please without cost or consequence, but a sacred trust given by the hand of the Creator who calls us not to chase our whims, but to carry the weight of meaning. To walk with integrity, to speak with truth, to act with courage, and to understand that every breath we breathe, every moment we live is not just for us, but for a purpose bigger than comfort, louder than pride, and deeper than desire. You were not placed on this earth to float through your days like a leaf in the wind, carried by mood or trend or pressure, but to rise with intention, to walk with resolve, to stand when others fall, to care when others ignore, to choose right when wrong seems easy. And in all of it, to remember that you are accountable, not just to the laws of man, but to the law written deep within your conscience by God who calls you to more. Responsibility means seeing beyond yourself, beyond your needs, beyond your feelings, and recognizing that your life touches other lives, that your choices are seeds planted in someone else's field, that your words are stones dropped in someone else's waters, and what you ignore, what you neglect. What you justify, it does not disappear, it multiplies, it echoes, it teaches, and it shapes the world around you, whether you see it or not. You cannot claim freedom and reject responsibility, because freedom without responsibility is chaos. It is selfishness with a smile. It is a fire with no boundaries. It is liberty that burns everything in its path. And true freedom, the kind that brings life and peace and good, is found only when it is tethered to truth, grounded in sacrifice, and lived with the understanding that you are not the center of the story, but a servant of something greater. There are people counting on you, even if you don't see them, even if they never say it, even if they never thank you. And the way you live matters to your children, your spouse, your neighbor, your coworker, the stranger watching from afar, and more than all of it. It matters to the one who gave you this life and expects you to steward it not with laziness, not with excuses, but with conviction and care. This world is full of blame and finger-pointing and excuse-making, where people refuse to carry their own burdens and instead demand others to fix what they broke, cover what they exposed, and lift what they dropped. But that is not the way of the wise, not the path of the righteous, not the mark of those who know they were made to reflect a higher standard, a greater calling, a holy design that demands maturity and not just ambition. When you fail, own it. When you fall, get up. When you hurt someone, apologize. When you're wrong, change. Because responsibility is not about being perfect, about being honest, about being humble, about being willing to carry the consequences of your choices with grace and growth and not bury them beneath blame or busyness or bitterness, because only the responsible become truly free. So I ask you, I plead with you, I challenge you. Rise above the noise, rise above the excuse, rise above the distractions, and live a life that counts not because it is loud, but because it is faintest, but not because it is fruitful. And remember always that life is not a game. Not a performance, not a joke, but a mission, one you've been given, one you must carry, one you are responsible for until your final breath. Life isn't just about your comfort or your dreams or your name and lights. It isn't about how many followers you have or how many goals you accomplish or how good you look while doing it, because you were never designed to live in isolation, never created to build a throne for yourself, never meant to carry a mirror wherever you go, but called instead to live outward, to live connected, to live sacrificially, because the truth is your life effects lives beyond your own, and the ripples of your choices spread farther than your eyes can see. The world may tell you to look out for number one and to do what makes you happy and to cut off anyone who doesn't serve you. But that is the language of emptiness, the anthem of a shallow heart, for real joy is not found in the echo chamber of self, but in the giving, the lifting, the blessing, the serving, the moments when you forget yourself and find someone else healed because of your hands, your words, your time, your tears. You are not the center of the universe, not the main character in a world full of extras, not the sun around which all others should revolve. And when you live like that, when you think that way, when you act like others are tools or obstacles or background noise, you lose the very thing that makes life rich: relationship, compassion, humility, love, those holy things that cannot grow in the soil of self. There are people in pain right now who need you to step outside of yourself, to look beyond your own schedule and your own needs and your own comfort, and simply show up with a heart that listens, a hand that gives, a voice that encourages. And if you live every day chasing your own reflection, you will never see the faces around you, the ones who are desperate for someone to notice, to care, to stay. You were put here not to consume, but to contribute, not to impress, but to impact, not to gather praise, but to pour out love. And the gifts you've been given, the time you've been granted, the platform you've been placed on, none of it is yours to hoard, but all of it is yours to steward. And until you realize that, until you believe that, you will keep chasing things that cannot satisfy while neglecting the people that truly matter. The story of your life is not just what happens to you, but what happens because of you, not just the battles you win, but the burdens you lift, not just the heights you reach, but the lives you touch. And if your journey ends with only your name written in gold, no one helped, no one changed by your presence, then it was never greatness, it was just noise. You are part of a bigger picture, a divine tapestry, a story that spans generations and reaches into eternity. And when you choose to live like your life is yours alone, you cut yourself off from the beauty of being used for something greater than your plans, greater than your ambition, greater than your own understanding, because the greatest lives ever lived were the ones that were given away. So stop building castles that only you can live in. Stop chasing dreams that end with your name in stone. Stop shrinking your soul to fit inside your own desires. Stop living wide, living aware, living generously, because life isn't just about you. It never was. And the moment you realize that is the moment everything begins to change, not just around you, but within you. Life is not a video game where you can input secret codes to skip the struggle or bypass the pain or unlock some alternate path that lets you win without the work. Because real life doesn't come with shortcuts or save points or magic buttons. And the journey you're walking is the only one the one path laid before you, filled with moments that count, decisions that matter, and consequences that cannot be erased just because you wish they could be. There are no replays, no rewinds, no secret level where everything you missed gets handed back to you. And when you lose time, when you waste opportunity, when you choose the easy road over the right one, you can't just close your eyes and start over, because life keeps moving and the clock keeps ticking, and the weight of every moment presses forward into the story of who you are becoming. You don't get to press pause when it gets too hard. You don't get to skip the boring parts. You don't get to fast forward to the good without walking through the valleys and climbing the hills and facing the storms. And while the world may offer fake escapes, distractions, addictions, lies that feel like relief, they are not solutions. They are illusion. They leave you emptier than before, more broken, more. In this life, there are no cheat codes for character, no hacks for holiness, no shortcuts to wisdom or strength or peace, because those things are from the fire and the battle and the pressure of real experience, where choices are costly and the right thing doesn't always feel good. And the truth doesn't always make you popular, but is the only way that leads to life. You can't undo what you've done. You can't erase what you've said. You can't go back to that moment and choose differently. And though mercy is real and forgiveness is offered and grace is deeper than our regrets, still the scars remain. Still the impact stands. Still the echoes of our past ripple through the present, reminding us that this life must be lived awake, intentional and honest. You were never meant to escape life. You were meant to engage it, to endure through it, not by avoiding pain, but by pressing through it, not by skipping lessons, but by learning them, not by dodging the hard road, but by walking it faithfully. Knowing that the journey shapes you and the struggle strengthens you, and the choices you make carve the character you carry. There is no alternate ending, no second draft, no hidden path that makes all the broken things go away without repentance, without truth, without change. Because this is not fiction, this is not fantasy. This is not something you control with a joystick or a screen. This is real life, your one and only life, and every day matters, every choice matters, and what you plant today is what you will harvest. So stop looking for the easy way out. Stop living like you've got another chance waiting after this one. Stop treating your time like it's unlimited and your soul like it's disposable. Start living with your eyes open, your heart awake, and your spirit ready to walk the road laid before you, not with fear, but with faith. Because there are no cheat codes, no do-overs, only the sacred now. Life is not just a series of random events or a stream of coincidences or a path of luck and timing, but a divine examination, a sacred proving ground, a test not of your talent or charm or wealth or wit, but of your soul, of what lies beneath the surface of who you are when no one is watching. of what you cling to when everything else is stripped away, because in the end, it is not about what you built with your hands, but who you became with your heart. The trials you face, the storms you endure, the pain you carry, the temptation you resist, and even the silence you walk through when the heavens seem quiet. None of it is wasted, none of it is random, none of it is unseen. Because every moment is a question waiting for an answer. Will you trust? Will you obey? Will you love? Will you endure? Will you remain true when comfort is gone and the cost is high? This test is not written on paper, not graded by men, not taken in a room with desks and pencils and rules, but written in your responses, measured in your reactions, revealed in the way you treat others, in the choices you make when no applause is given, in the battles you fight in secret. In the humility you show when pride whispers loudest, because the soul is tested not by success, but by struggle, not by ease, but by fire. You will be tempted to cheat the process, to take the easy route, to wear a mask that pleases people while your heart drifts further from truth. But the test is not fooled by appearance, not impressed by performance, not satisfied by surface level virtue, because the test of the soul demands depth, demands truth, demands surrender. And there is no shortcut to a genuine life, no replacement for a real heart. Every day you are being shaped. Every word you speak is forming something eternal in you. Every decision is a brushstroke on the canvas of your soul. And whether you walk in love or bitterness, in faith or fear, in truth or pretense, it all becomes part of the legacy your spirit will carry into eternity. Because what is hidden now will be revealed then, and the soul that is tested will be either refined like gold or exposed like rust. You don't get to choose when the test comes. You don't get to schedule the pressure or delay the trial or ask for easier questions, because life doesn't wait for your convenience. Heaven is not interested in comfort. It is interested in character, in faithfulness, in truth that holds firm when everything else falls apart. And the soul that passes this test is not the one that never stumbles, but the one that keeps rising, keeps repenting, keeps believing when it would be easier to. This test isn't about how much you know, but how deeply you live it, not about how loudly you speak, but how humbly you walk, not about how clean you look on the outside, but how surrendered you are on the inside. Because the soul is not judged by the standards of men, but by the gaze of God, who sees every motive, every hidden idol, every crack covered by charm, and yet still calls you higher, deeper, nearer. So take this life seriously. Take your soul seriously. Take every moment as a holy question, and every choice as an eternal answer. And remember that though the world may test your strength or your skill or your success, but to save you, not to crush you, but to call you home with a heart that's been tried by fire and proven faithful. God is not some distant observer sitting silently on the edge of the universe, not a silent statue in the sky watching passively as you struggle and stumble and try to figure it all out, because he is not watching from afar with folded arms. He is not detached or disinterested or uninvolved. He is near, closer than your next breath, more present than the pain in your chest, walking through your fire, whispering in your storm, holding the very breath in your lungs as he walks with you through the trials you thought you'd face alone. He sees every tear you cried in secret, every prayer that never made it past your lips, every doubt you wrestled with when the night felt too heavy to carry. And even when you thought he was silent, he was speaking. Even when you thought he was gone, he was working. Even when you could not trace his hand, his heart never left you, because God does not spectate. He steps in, he leans in, he acts, he moves, he loves in ways we don't always see, but we always need. You are not a character in a show he's casually flipping through. Not a name on a list he occasionally glances at. Not a problem on a chart or a number in a crowd. No, you are his creation, his child, his image bearer, and every part of your story matters to him. Every high and low, every failure and victory, every breath and heartbeat and sleepless night is seen, known, carried by a God who doesn't watch from the outside, but walks on the inside of your life. He was there when you were formed in the secret place, there when the world first called your name, there when you fell, when you got back up, when you ran, when you returned, and he didn't sit back with judgment in his eyes. He ran to you. He clothed you. He covered you. He covered you. He called you back home. Because he's not interested in being your audience. He longs to be your refuge, your redeemer, your rest. This world may feel cold. Life may seem unfair, and people may abandon you when the lights fade and the applause stops. But God never exits, never checks out, never turns away in your weakest hour. And even when you curse him, question him, push him aside, he stays, he waits, he calls. He holds the door open with nail-pierced hands, because his love does not spectate from a distance. It steps down into the dirt, into the dark, into the mess, and makes a home right there with you. He is not watching your test like a teacher counting down the clock, not cheering from the sidelines like a fan who hopes you win. But he's in the fire with you like he was with the three in the furnace in the lion's den, like he was with Daniel, in the belly of the whale like he was with Jonah, in the garden of anguish like he was with his son. And if you open your eyes to it, if you open your heart to it, you'll see he's been there all along. You don't need to perform to get his attention, don't need to impress to earn his nearness, don't need to win for him to stay, because he's not a spectator who applauds success and turns away at failure. He is the shepherd who searches for the one, the father who runs to the broken, the king who leaves his throne to walk the long road beside you, and no distance you've run. No sin you've committed, no wound you carry is strong enough to keep him away when your heart begins to turn home. So stop living like he's far off, like he's watching but not moving, judging but not loving, present but not personal, and know this deep in your soul that the God who made you is not a spectator of your life, but the author of it, the keeper of it, the friend who sticks closer than a brother, the Savior who bled to be near, and he is with you now in this very breath, not watching from the stands, but walking with you through it all.